So roots is our last one. So that's pretty much x-intercepts. Okay? Let's look at y-intercepts. What's a y-intercept? What's a y-intercept?
The graph of the equation crosses the y-axis.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. Well, your graph of the equation crosses, or as we just talked about in depth, the y-axis. What else do we know about y-intercepts?
X is 0.
Yeah, the x-coordinate is 0. What else? Okay, it's in slope-intercept form. You're on the right track. What is how?
B.
It's b. There you go. It's got a special variable. So we've got the special variable b. What do we call the y-intercepts? Or how do we refer? It's more or less how do we refer to the y-intercept? There's a couple different ways. The first way we learned was what? Initial value. I want to add some more vocabulary in there for you so that you know. It's also your constant. So if it ever asks for a constant, that's what it is. Okay? That's the constant. It's also a fixed number or rate. And I'll refer to it a lot in here as the naked number. And why do I call it the naked number?
Because there's nothing left, and that's the only thing.
Somebody else said something?
It doesn't have anything with it.
It doesn't have anything with it. What? Has no variable. The biggest key is it has no variable. Okay, y'all all danced around it, but the bottom line is I call it the naked number because it has no variable. Okay, it has no variable attached to it. It's a naked number. Okay. All right. Any questions on this? This is all review. We should know all this for the most part. Okay. All right. If I'm given a table like this here, if I'm given a table like this one here, -1 and 6, okay, 0 and 3, 1 and 0, and 2 and -3. What's the 0 of the function?
1, 0.
Very good. 0 is equal to 1. And that seems contradictory, but what I mean by that is the 0 of the function is equal to 1. What am I really asking for?
X-intercept.
The x-intercept. So if I'm asking for the 0 of the function, I'm asking for the x-intercept. JD, you want to take notes? You need to take notes. Everybody needs to be taking notes. Okay? 0 of the function is the x-intercept. And again, the x-intercept is right here. I know this because why? How do I know that's the x-intercept?
Y value is 0.
Yeah, that y value is 0. That y value is 0, so that's how I know that's x-intercept. Okay? On the other hand, what is my y-intercept? 0, 3, or just 3. You can refer to it as just 3. Okay, so there's my y-intercept. And again, how did I know that, Princeton? Yeah, because x is 0. The y value must be my y-intercept. Very good. Okay, any questions on that? All right, now let's go ahead and do 2 more examples and then we are done. And you have more work to do. Yay. All right, here we go. So we're going to find the x and y intercepts of 3x minus 2y, not that, 2y equals negative 12. So we need to find the x and y intercepts of this. Now here's the cool thing about this. Okay? This is what we call standard form. We'll talk much more about that later. The one great thing is I teach standard form as part of the Algebra 1 curriculum. It's been a question on whether it's something that we should teach or not, but I still teach standard form. Because you need to know for Algebra 2. The geometry pre-AP summary assignment, you need to know standard form. But standard form is actually useful when we're talking about intercepts. When I'm talking about intercepts, and I want to find the x and y intercepts of this, I can do a cool thing here. What I can do is this.
Negative 12.
What do I know 3 times? Hang on. What do I know that 3 times 0 is? 0. So if I just cancel this out, okay, that would be making my x value what? 0, right? If my x value is 0, then my y value is what? What do I have for y value?
Negative 2.
What do I have for the y value? What is that called? If the x value is 0, my y value is going to be the b, okay, or the y-intercept, right? So if I make this 0, I'm going to cancel that out. So rather than doing this, 3 times 0 minus 2y equals negative 12, rather than doing that, I already know that's not going to be there. So I'm just going to do this. Negative 2y equals 12, so solve for y. So when I solve for y, I get what?
6.
So I got to divide both sides by negative 2. Y equals 6. So what is my y-intercept?
6.
6. Why is that my y-intercept?
That's where it crosses the
Because
y-axis.
x is 0.
Because x is 0. Okay? We made x to be 0, essentially, by canceling this out. We made x to be 0, and then solve for y. And since we made x 0, we solve for y, we know the y-intercept. Okay? One of the things that I used to teach with a lady, she used to call it intercept man, and I'm not really sure of the story that she gave behind it. I can't find the ruler I'm looking for. Oh, right here. But what she would do is she basically tell her students, hey, take your finger or your hand, not big enough, and cover that up. Leave your y value and solve for y, excuse me. Once you solve for y, that's your y-intercept. That only works in standard form. It only works when it's in standard form, meaning that you have x and y and then equal to the naked number. Now, if I cover this up and I leave my 3x, what am I going to find?
X-intercept.
My x-intercept, because I'm going to force my y value to be 0. So if I want to find my x-intercept, again, I'm going to do 3x. I'm going to go ahead and write the equation out. 2y equals negative 12, and then I'm just going to disregard that part. Not that part. That's the part we already did. Disregard that part, because we're going to force y to be 0. So instead of writing 3x minus 2 times 0 equals negative 12, we know that negative 2 times 0 is going to be 0. Okay? And anything plus 0 is simply that self. So now I have 3x equals negative 12. How do I solve that? Divide both sides by 3. So x equals negative 4. More specifically, this x is what?
X-intercept.
The x-intercept. So here's my y-intercept. There's my x-intercept. Very simple. Very quick and effective. But again, it does not work in slope-intercept form. You can't do that in slope-intercept form all the time. Okay, but of course, slope-intercept form, you're already going to have the b value. All right, any questions? Yes?
So if it shows, if this standard form shows up on a worksheet or something, will it ask to find which one?
Yeah, like basically this question was find the x and y intercepts. Yeah. Okay? You're not going to be responsible for knowing that standard form. I'm just giving you a heads up right now. Okay, let's look at our last example. Okay, let's say we're given, well, y equals negative 3x minus 9. What kind of form are we in there?
You're in the regular.
Slope-intercept form, right? Okay, now I want to find the x and y intercepts. Well, one of them's easy. What do you already know? What's the y-intercept? Negative 9. Let's make this a little more challenging. How do I, and don't forget that sign right there. Okay, that negative is part of it. Okay, how do I write that in ordered pair form? Yeah, the x value is 0, negative 9, right? Okay. Now, using the same slope-intercept form, I need to find my my x-intercept. How do I do that?
Solve for x.
I need to solve for x, but I can't solve for x if I have two variables.
-9. So you plug in -9 for y.
Well, I could, except that wouldn't necessarily give me my x-intercept. What's that going to give me? If I plug in negative 9 for y, what is that going to give me? For x? Okay, it's going to give me 0, right? Think about this. If I plug in negative 9 here, I'm solving for the x value when you have negative 9. We already know that's 0. Okay? So if I plug in negative 9 here, you add 9 to both sides, that becomes 0. Negative 3 divided by 0 is 0. Okay, that's a good idea, but remember, you got to remember what an x-intercept means. What does an x-intercept mean?
X is 0.
Not x is 0. Y is 0. So what am I going to plug in to solve for my x-intercept? 0 for y, right? So now I have a 0 here, because that's part of the definition of x-intercept. And then I have negative 3x minus 9. Now I can solve for x. What do?
Add 9 to both sides.
Yeah, add 9 to both sides. So 9 equals negative 3x. Now what?
Divide by -3 by both sides.
Divide negative 3 by both sides.
Next intercept is negative.
So x equals negative 3. And again, it's not just x, it's the x-intercept. And I know this because I plugged in y for 0. So now, how do I write my x-intercept in ordered pair form?
-3, 0.
-3, comma, 0. So there's my answer, and there's my answer. Okay, any questions on that?